AI isn't just for tech bros, it's for you too. Welcome to Yellow Now AI, the podcast that makes AI simple, practical, and useful for your everyday life. Whether you're juggling work, family, or just trying to get through your never-ending to-do list, AI can help, and we're here to show you how. I'm Melek, a tech executive and serial entrepreneur.
I'm Rima. I'm an author, entrepreneur, and an educator. On our show, we're going to bring you real talk, real solutions, and plenty of laughs to the AI conversation. What you're going to expect from us is unfiltered banter, personal stories, and hands-on advice that's going to help you work smarter, parent easier, and stress less. Because life is busy enough. Let's just make it easier.
Yalla.
Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode of Yellow Now AI. Rima and I are delighted to welcome Amy Schultz to have a conversation with us. Amy is an expert in all things related to financial wellness and AI, and we're really excited to learn more about this. I love the idea of financial wellness. Amy, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yeah, I'm super excited to bring this to your audience because I think AI is being used for financial wellness in really cool ways right now that if you're not in the tech industry, you might not realize. So just excited to be here.
This is the first time I've heard the framing of financial wellness. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I usually think of financial wellness in terms of improving your financial situation and getting to a place of safety and security with your money. But it's personal for everybody. So one of the things I do actually right now is like customer interviews. And one of the questions I will ask is, what does financial wellness mean to you? And a lot of people don't know, or they say, it means not having to worry about money. But typically in the tech industry, it means that you're helping the user do something with their money that's going to reduce financial stress and improve outcomes like savings, investment. So that's kind of what we'll talk about today, how AI is playing a role in that.
And tell us a little bit about your background, your origin
Yeah.
story. How did Amy of today get here? What were the steps and the experiences that led you to this place?
Yeah, I've had an interesting financial wellness journey for sure. So my career started as an actuary. So I did my degrees in finance and economics. I did financial risk management for corporations for a long time. And the whole time I was doing terrible with my own money. So I always say, like, if I lead a workshop or something, I lead with like, hi, I'm Amy, and I've paid off over $200,000 of credit card debt because I was always earning a good income. I was always the breadwinner, but also just spending all of my money. And it wasn't until I found what's called a money coach that focuses on the emotional behavioral side of money that I really got a grasp on like what was going on with me. And so at that point, I decided, you know what, I have all this, I had the financial literacy. Like I was helping people with money while I was making mistakes. And so a huge gap that I'm seeing for women is that we think it's just about education, but it's actually about financial action and getting in tune with your emotions and behaviors around money. So in 2018, I started my first business doing one-on-one financial coaching. I became an accredited financial counselor. I got like a number of financial coaching certificates, and then ended up co-founding a company that wanted to scale financial guidance specifically for women. So spent about 5 years doing that. And really focusing on, how do we bring the human side of financial coaching to as many women as possible in a scalable way. One of the things that we really spent a lot of time on was how AI can help do that. And so when that didn't work out, as many startups do, I've now transitioned to kind of be on the other side and am helping a credit union holding company invest in fintech. And a lot of what they're investing in is companies that are focusing on AI. That's how I got here. I definitely simplified it. A lot of emotions and ups and downs along the way, but
Yeah. So Amy, you talk a lot about pain and shame that you felt around money in your 20s. And do you think AI can play a role in helping people recognize those patterns? And if so, do you think it's helpful, intrusive, or is there a line there?
I think it depends. Like it definitely depends on, so yes, absolutely it can help. And I'll give some examples of this that we saw in my startup, but it depends on the person's readiness. There's this fly
Mhm.
here, sorry. It depends on the person's readiness and openness to share. So, like, one of the things that we would focus on a lot is women who were maybe like millennials, late 20s, Gen X, who had already had some pain around money and were at the point where they knew they needed to talk about it, right? Like they knew they needed to face it. When you're in your early 20s, you're kind of still like trying to figure it out on your own. And maybe you haven't had, a ton of pain yet, or have recognized that like things could be a different way. So one of the things that we saw right away is that people would actually open up more through text or through a chat message than they would maybe on a call,
Mhm.
or face to face with somebody. And my favorite moment was when we had a client who was messaging us while she was up at night with the baby. She was messaging her coach, which at the time was a human coach, but our goal was to translate that to AI. And she wasn't expecting a response right away, but she was just typing in like what she was feeling around money and her stress around money. And that for me was like a full circle moment because I remember being up with my first baby in 2017, crying about money and worrying about money and feeling like, oh my God, I wish I had somebody to talk to right now, but feeling way too much shame to admit to anybody yet what was going on. So I do feel like there's a role there where AI can help remove that intimidation and let people open up and have that conversation. But they definitely need to be prompted and like to understand how to have that conversation because otherwise it seems a little crazy, right? So that's what I'm excited about is to see as these AI chatbots, the AI financial coaches, as they solve for that human component. I think we're going to be able to help a lot of people who otherwise are like, no, I'm not talking to
Yeah.
anybody about this.
Mhm.
I've seen some research, Amy, that says this
Mhm.
is the topic that people are most unwilling and
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable to talk about. They're more willing to talk about other seemingly taboo subjects like
Yeah.
their sex life, their interpersonal relationships, but when it or their health and physical health, but when it comes to money, that is the kind of no-go zone.
Yeah, money is like it's so tied in with our identity, and who we are and like our value, our worth, everything. It's almost like people would rather be known for committing some terrible crime than be known for like being bad at money. And you can see that in
Mhm.
the way we talk about debt and the way people hide what they're spending and all of that. I think it is just it's so core. Like we're expected to just be born and know how to manage our finances well. And if we can't, we think it's like a personal failing when really there's all these other systemic things happening and all these reasons why somebody might not have learned to do money in a certain way.
I think they're Melek, to your point. I think they're historically, um, I think it's a class issue
Hmm.
in terms of like there's certain segments of society that consider it distasteful to talk
Yeah.
about money, and if you do, then that immediately puts you like in a class that that you're taught because you don't have or like there's so many misconceptions about it that I actually have perpetuated so much harm.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, from just the shame around it up to transparency and salaries that could help perhaps put women in better positioning if people were more transparent about sharing and they're sharing more. So I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah. And if
Yeah.
if there's somebody who doesn't think that the guidance that they're receiving is for them, they reject it. They kind of like disregard it. And that's why we're seeing that financial literacy, especially for like low to middle income earners, isn't as effective as it should be because it's not taking into consideration, do they think that's for me? Like you can tell somebody who has 100K sitting in the bank or is earning 100K a year that they should have an emergency fund, that they should be investing for retirement, that they should pay off their high interest debt, and they're going to go do that, right? But if you tell somebody that's making, 40K a year and is struggling to live paycheck to paycheck, if you tell them those three things, they're just going to be like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, I'll let you know when that happens. And that's,
Yeah.
I think, what we're failing to realize is those intricacies around um, really economic dynamics and who the financial guidance is really made for.
Yeah.
No, it's so interesting that you've taken your experience as an operator, a founder, and then an operator, and then flipped roles to now be an investor and an advisor to an investment committee for solutions in this space. Talk a little bit about how that, your background as an operator
Yeah.
informs your decisions as an investor.
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, and my one coworker and I talk about this a lot because I feel like I'll notice things as a former founder
Hmm.
that or I'll think about it from that perspective that maybe somebody else wouldn't think about, right? Or I'll approach, what support do they need? What milestones do we need to think about from the perspective that like I've gone through it, and
Yeah.
it's a very emotional thing, but it's something like you can't really explain it as well as you can experience it. So I think it does bring a different lens. And that's exactly why they had wanted me to come in and help, because they had kind of recognized that like having somebody who was a founder and went through all of this is not only going to help us relate to the founders that we're investing in, but it's also going to help us be able to think about things from that perspective instead of just guessing, or instead of just taking what we think it is without actually understanding it.
Yeah, I also think there's something probably in your proximity to the client, not the patient, the client, the people who are using the solution, right?
Yes.
Because again, as an operator, your client metrics, your client satisfaction, use cases, that's like mission critical to understand and be able to continue to deliver and innovate around that. Um, and so what are some of the exciting, interesting solutions that you're seeing in the AI financial wellness space?
Yeah. So I think one of the coolest things that we're seeing with AI is this idea that it used to be really hard to get basic advice that was like personalized or like answers to basic questions. So typically what would happen is that you'd have to, have a certain amount ready to invest to go talk to a financial advisor. Or you could pay a couple $100 for, a 45-minute session with a
Mhm.
certified financial planner or a financial coach and get answers to your questions. Or you could like spend hours reading stuff, and pick up all these books about personal finance and try to figure out like how do I then apply this into my life. Instead, now you can just ask, whatever your favorite AI chatbot is. This is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm learning. What else do I need to think about? How do I apply this in my own life? And this is really important because of what I mentioned earlier, that a lot of financial guidance tends to be one size fits all. So we might hear, here's 8 steps to financial success. There's actually like 75 steps, right, within those 8 steps. But it depends on the person, their confidence level with money, and how much money they have, whether they need to take 75 steps or whether they can just go and take the 8 steps. And so using AI in a conversational way can not only tell you what those steps are, but also talk through the emotional implications of it. Talk through like, why are you getting in your own way here? Here's what else to consider and think about. So my favorite companies right now are taking that into consideration. And those are the companies where they're focused on outcomes with AI, not just checking a box, not just saying like, hey, we have a financial wellness chatbot or like we have a financial coach, but like, how is this financial coach actually helping people?
That's really interesting. So this is different than, because for me, I was thinking more along the lines of some of the robo advisors, robo
Yes.
investors, right? For kind of helping just take your pool of money, whatever it may be, and investing it based on your age and kind of financial goals. But what you're talking about is really more comprehensive.
Yes. So the robo advisors are great because like they're taking, AI is analyzing the market trends, AI is creating the diversified portfolios. All you have to do is like enter, you know, some questions online like your age, income, goals, risk level, and they put it all together for you, right? So that's amazing in itself. That's getting rid of the need to have tons of money that you can go and meet with an actual financial
Mhm.
advisor. But think about how many people put money into the robo advisor, right? So they use that platform and then take it back out because they're stressed out and they don't understand loss,
Mhm.
right? Or don't aren't sure about how much to put in or struggle with budgeting, right? So that they can find money to put in. So a lot of companies where it was just simply about the AI doing all this cool stuff is now going to be the AI has to do all this cool stuff and help people apply it and help them overcome their behavioral challenges with money so that they can make the
Mhm.
most of it. So that's typically what we're seeing, is that companies are starting to notice that. And we're seeing it with like the budgeting apps too. So another way that AI has really transformed financial wellness is in apps like Monarch Money or You Need a Budget, where you connect your bank accounts and they analyze your AI analyzes your spending patterns for you. They provide a personalized spending plan of like, hey, maybe put, you know, this amount towards your emergency fund by reducing XYZ category, things like that. They help forecast your future expenses, but they're now recognizing that they need that natural language processing
Mhm.
to make the financial planning conversational so that it does help people with whatever questions they have. Otherwise, people are going to they're hiring human financial coaches, human certified financial planners to help them with these tools. And so I think that's where the tools are starting to recognize, let's just provide that for them, because that's what people really need to make the most of
Mm,
this.
mm, mm, mm. So Amy, I want to move us a little bit into thinking about how to democratize financial wisdom. The reality is that coaches cost money, and
Mm-hmm.
specialized apps and solutions also cost money.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a company that's going to invest in natural language process and all that and give you the thing for free. They might, because they're getting your information or whatever it is, but
Yeah.
how, and the irony is that the people who need help the most usually don't have money.
Mm.
They don't have enough to be able to invest in something like this.
Yeah.
So if somebody just is struggling, there's ChatGPT, it's open. What what is the process? Like how can somebody, what kind of prompt, like how would you tailor prompts for somebody like that that's what, like perhaps listening to us at home, who feel they're struggling, there's no way out, they don't have money to invest in any of this. What would their approach to be if they were just sitting in front of their laptops or their phones with ChatGPT? How can they get the
Yeah.
most out of it? Because ChatGPT can spit out also a bunch of nonsense as well.
Yes.
So yeah, so how do you get around that? Like what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah. I have 5 different really useful like prompts. It was hard for me to get down from like, I had like 9 or 10 that I was like, I want everybody to try this now. And I'm like, no, okay, we're gonna go. So I'll talk about that. What I want to point out first, though, just really quick, is make a note on what you said about people not being able to afford that financial help and even the products that are being made.
Hmm.
It's my hope that, and this is kind of why I went into the credit union space or the financial institution side of things, because
Hmm.
it's my hope that financial institutions start realizing that people are going to start expecting this kind of guidance from them. The financial products that people are using should all have this guidance already built in. So it's my hope that this becomes less of where people have to go to Chat GPT and more
Hmm.
of they start noticing that there is an AI financial coach in their Chase bank account or whatever, right, that they
Hmm.
can talk to.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for that, first of all, if you're somebody who it just wants to start being more aware of like what's around with AI. Pay attention to like what's being offered by your bank. If you have a credit union, what are they offering? The products that you're using, because I think we are going to see more of these things come up. But until that point, you do have different resources that you can use. So I personally love Claude. I don't know if either of
Mhm.
you use Claude. I just feel like Claude is the best thought partner. I call him he, but I also just feel like he must be a woman because like it's amazing every conversation that we have. So I'm kind of looking at that from this lens, but you can do this with ChatGPT, really any AI assistant. I think the best place to start is by learning what kind of answers you're going to get. So start by asking simple questions, and you'll notice that like you're almost getting too much, right? And so then you have to start breaking it down and really focusing on like what is the exact response that you get.
What's the question? What's the
Yeah, so
question?
question could be, I want to start building my emergency fund. I think I can only save about $200 a month. What's the best approach for somebody in my situation?
Okay.
Right. So something like so specific like that.
Mhm.
Or I want to start building an emergency fund. I don't know where to start. I'm worried that I'm overspending. I'm impulsively doing this. I think it's the more information, the better, and treat it like you are going to a financial coach session and you're just like throwing it all on the table, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
That's going to be your first conversation. Approach it like you were talking to a financial coach, because AI is amazing, but you also have to learn how to make it work for you and what's good and what's not good. And the more that you're having these conversational pieces, you'll notice like, you know what, I didn't like the way they said that. And so I know that next time I need to include and be more specific about that in my conversation. It's kind of like you have to train yourself to use AI. Okay. You could ask if you have credit card debt. I have, $5,000 in credit card debt, and it's a 20% interest rate. I also have, $10,000 left on my student loans. That's a 5% interest rate. I don't have savings. What should I do first and why? I mean, it can help you prioritize. It can help you think of anything in that way about your financial situation. And then my tips are also, and I'll get into like there's more here because I want you to become the true owner of your relationship with money. And so I think the rest of the prompts that I give you are going to help with that. I would always ask how the AI came to that conclusion, especially when you're starting out. Like I don't have to ask that
So you
now.
could learn
Yes.
the kind of questions that it's thinking about in
Yes.
order to give you to that solution set. Okay.
Yes. And that will help you realize like, you know what, I should have said this. Or, I didn't need to include this, or it'll just help you get more comfortable talking to it and realizing that it's a thought partner, but it's not a person. So, and then ask it to, if it's providing you specific information, can you confirm that this is the most recent information? Can you confirm that all of this is factual? Can you provide resources? Because there have been, like AI does hallucinate. And so there have been times, I think it's getting less and less, where Claude even has given me a script for a video or something that I'm making. I record the video, and then I remember to ask that, and it like made up a bunch of statistics that I just put in my video that I recorded. I'm like, what just happened? So that again, that's where like it's a thought partner. It's not a person, and it's not perfect.
So Amy, when you're uploading these questions and sharing this information, do you see a variation between like what might be a paid account, whether it's Claude or Chat versus a free account? Have you seen
I
a
think
difference
the
in the
most
responses?
common thing is it might be like which level of thinking and
The
deep
reasoning?
learning you get out of it. Yes. um, which you probably don't need super, like all of this is going to be out there on the internet, right? You could also Google these questions and you're going to get resources. The difference is that it's being communicated to you in a personalized way instead
Mhm.
of having to search and do all of that yourself. And then the other thing is how long your conversation can be. So I pay $20 a month for all of them because I don't want to get to I hate the feeling of like, oh, I can't message Claude again until 2 p.m. I'm like,
Yeah.
I have so
Like
much to
I
do.
need
Like I can't
information
wait.
right now. Yeah, I
Yeah.
need answers now.
Yeah. Um,
Mm.
okay, so I have a few more questions along that line,
Okay.
of like
Tell us.
tips. So
Sure.
I think the people that get the most out of any financial wellness program, are the ones that, like I said before, can be open and can share about their situation. So I really want you to do that with AI. So one of the first things a money coach would do is help you to gain awareness about why you feel how you do about money, why you behave the way that you do. And so you can use a prompt with AI to basically act as your emotional behavioral money coach in that situation. You can say, I want to understand my relationship with money. Ask me 5 questions about my financial background, goals, and concerns. Then help me identify patterns and create a personalized action plan. So you'll see like the AI, what it's going to come up with is basically what a money coach would do, which is what have you experienced around money? What are your money memories? What are the things that you saw your parents do with money that might be, reflected in your situation today? And it can help you identify blind spots that you might not have considered where you might be getting in your own way with money, whether that's like always spending a certain way, or under earning. All of these things can be really useful. And I think the more that we use AI as that like personal money coach, the more that we're getting really valuable information that people pay thousands of dollars for.
So Amy, some part of the segment of people that we're aiming to help are people who are caretakers.
Yeah.
A lot of them are moms, happen to be moms, and there's something that's been trending in terms of when their kids are all grown or what have you, they're thinking of going back to work,
Yes.
right? And I know that you and your team, when you were working on your startup, would actually help people negotiate better job offers, etc. So if you could design an AI tool that would prepare that kind of segment or demographic when
Yeah.
they're thinking about going back, what would it do? How would it make the moment less scary and more successful?
I think it would prepare them with the things that we would do as coaches, which
Mm,
is prepare them with so much data and information that they have overlooked about their skill set and why it's okay that they're
mm,
going back after this break. Um, and prepare scripts. We would get asked all the time for scripts and different things. AI can provide those for you. So you can say to AI, here's my resume now. Here's what I want to get across. Here's my concerns about what I have in there. Help me shape this, right? And it will basically create a beautiful resume that may or may not have the wording that you want. So you definitely need to review it yourself, but it will show you, this is what this could look like. And that's important because, especially when you're feeling some type of way about getting back into the workforce, it's unfortunate that our society looks at career breaks that way, even though it's such a normal thing that should be valued. The AI is going to take that emotion out of it and just provide it to you in a way that you will feel good about sharing. But you can also ask in conversations, if I get asked about this, what should I say? Right? Like how do I present myself in a way where I'm not lying about what I've been doing, but it sounds helpful and it sounds useful. And can you share examples of when this has worked? So again, using AI as that thought partner to help prepare you for that conversation. You can even ask AI to ask you practice questions. What should I be prepared for? What should somebody seeing my resume, calling me in for an interview? What questions about those breaks should I be prepared for? And then how do I answer them? Um, it's very common too that because we get all these feelings about why we work the way we do, how we work, whatever story we're telling ourselves about what we've done as women in our lives, that means that maybe we should just accept the salary and be grateful. AI can also help you prepare for negotiations. Um, and so I think that's an important moment too, where maybe maybe you do get an offer, right? Or maybe you're in a job and you're ready to ask for a raise or something. You should ask AI, how can I best present myself in a way where it's like a no-brainer that they give me this raise, right? Or it makes perfect sense that my salary should be higher. What goes into that a lot of times is research. So you've got to research the job market, what are appropriate salaries, what are like benchmarks that I should take into consideration. Instead of having to do that research on Glassdoor or something and then put together your data points, you can just ask AI and like ChatGPT will do it all for you.
Yeah, especially when I could see that that becomes really powerful, especially when you incorporate your deliverables, what you have
Yes.
brought as value to the team, to the organization, and then, be able to pull in some of the outside data to show current market rates, also. So I like the way you're encouraging the use of it as a thought partner to help pull out some themes that, might not have been top of mind in your work, whichever kind of setting you were in doing that work, right? Whether it was
Yeah.
in a professional organization or the work of running a house and a
Yeah.
family.
Yeah. And I think even, going back to, let's say like I think of the show, I think it's Younger, where she pretends to be like in her 20s or something, going back into the workforce and in marketing so that she can seem like she's up to speed with everything. So going into like an interview where you're going back into an industry, you could say to AI, what do I need to know to make sure that I'm relevant? What are some talking points that I could share that show that like, sure, I've been gone for 8 years, but I still know my stuff, right? Like I've stayed up to date on things. What are some, like journals or events that I could like casually mention, like anything like that to help you be relevant and understand what you need to learn. There's so much where it could prepare you. And then my favorite question is, what else should I be considering?
Mm-hmm.
going to give you a lot every
It's like a
time.
broad catch-all.
Yes. Yeah. What else should I be considering based on everything we've talked about for the past hour, right? This whole conversation. What else should I be considering?
Yeah, and you could see how, again, just from the familiarity that the tool will have with you and the different conversations you've had, the different things you've shared about what's important to you or what are the solutions you're trying to solve for, that information becomes more and more personalized and relevant to you in the various use cases.
Yeah.
So, ideally, these are ongoing kind of interactions with your AI tool of choice to help you really get to that point.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that because AI, you can also say, I'm a beginner at this. Or like, another example prompt I had is about investment education. For so many people, the barrier is to getting started is just the getting started. Like they don't even know where to start. And you can just kind of say that. Like I don't explain everything in the most basic way. And then prepare a sample diversified portfolio for me, after we've gone through what does all of that mean. I think it can really meet you where you're at, but you've got to be willing to explain where you're at, right? And
Mhm,
be honest about this is what I know and this is what I don't know.
mhm. That's really so much to think
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Amy, we've talked a lot about what AI can do to help. What is something that it will never be able to help when you think considering financial wellness that it would always be a human core? What would that be?
Um, Telling your partner that you have $10,000 in credit card debt that you didn't tell them about when you got married.
Yeah.
Nobody helped me with that. There was not going to be an AI to
Yeah.
help with that. I
Yeah.
think those so emotionally driven conversations
Mm.
that can make or break a relationship. AI might be able to tell you what to say or help you with
Right.
it, but it's not going to have that conversation for
Mhm,
you.
mhm,
We joke like some of the companies that I've been looking at recently have a lot of AI agents that can do calls and they sound so real. Um, I don't think there's going to be one that's like calling your spouse to reveal bad news that you don't want to share. Maybe, I don't know. But I think
Yeah.
that's those
Yeah.
conversational pieces that are very emotional. It's not, I don't
Mm,
see that. I could
mm,
be wrong though. I don't know.
mm, mm. This reminds me of something me and Melek we've been talking about in terms of just from our backgrounds in communication, how we can help people actually train themselves and prepare for having difficult
Yeah,
conversations.
yeah,
And you have to prepare for it. You have to actually run a simulation. You can't just show up to it and have it with somebody, especially if the stakes are that serious, you know?
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And that's where that was a lot of our work was like we would recognize with couples, you know what, they need therapy. They need more than what we can provide.
Yeah.
Uh, AI could recognize that. AI could maybe have chat conversations with both of them, but in person room, I don't know that you're going to have an AI robot that creates that powerful conversation moment in a helpful way.
Right.
Amy, you've been so generous in sharing so much really deep insights about financial wellness with us and our audience. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah, I think
Thanks,
you could tell
Amy.
I could talk about this all day. I just
Yes.
hope that some of the prompts we've talked about gets people really having a conversation that they're probably not having with anybody else. And now they have the opportunity to have.
So true. So true. Thank you, Amy, for that.
So, Amy, we have a tradition at Yellow
Yeah.
Now AI where we like to ask every guest a couple of standard questions. First question for you, what's in your bag?
Yeah. So I actually a little bird told me that this was what happened. So I actually have my bag here.
Ooh, oh my gosh. Can we talk about the
Woo!
green?
I love that green. I'm obsessed with,
It's
you can
such
tell
a
at this side.
beautiful green. Goodness, I love
I
green.
I
I
love
love
that.
green lately, and I'm very like I'm pretty woo woo. Like I don't like to admit that, but even from a money perspective, so I feel like the green is
Yes.
nice. I'm heading to Money 2020 next week, and I've been told like carry very little. You will be walking a lot. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get like a little bag. Usually I have a much bigger bag with lots of things in it. But in my bag, so like sunglasses, I guess. I have a matching wallet.
Nice.
Oh, look at
Look how
that.
cute
I love
is.
that.
And then so unnecessary and not even useful in the slightest. Like I have one little lipstick in there because that's all that's in it. But it's so cute I
Oh,
can't
it's
take it out.
cute.
Like, yeah,
It's
I just
and
don't
it's
I
perfectly
haven't
on theme with the colors.
Yeah, it's
I
on.
know. I'm thinking I'll put like extra contacts in there so I have my
Yeah,
contacts, but otherwise it just takes up space. I have gum
nice.
and I have a lip gloss jelly. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
good stuff. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you,
yeah,
Amy. All
Rima,
right.
Rima wants to know her question now.
yeah.
So, Amy, what's your absolute most favorite snack?
Um, I mean, like coffee, but that's not really like a snack. I love Greek yogurt and I
Mm.
drizzle like honey over it. And then I put like granola, strawberries, and blueberries. And that is like I just love it. It feels like it feels like more than it is, I guess I should say. It
Mm-hmm,
feels
mm-hmm.
like
Yeah, more than it is.
that's
I like that.
yeah,
More
but
than
that's
it
what I've been
is.
eating. But I go through phases where like I'll eat something for like nonstop. I'll be like craving it and then it'll just go away and then I won't eat it for a while. But that's what I'm hooked on right now.
That sounds delicious and
Yeah.
filled with
Yeah.
high protein and
Yes.
antioxidants.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Um, okay, and tell us one thing that's making your life better right now.
Yeah. So one thing that's making my life better, it's so it's so funny and like I would say this no matter what podcast I was on right now, but AI is honestly like the number one thing that comes to mind
Okay.
because I have recently started using it for my personal life too. So I coach my 6-year-old soccer team. No idea what I'm doing. None of the other parents would volunteer, so I was like, fine, I'll volunteer. Claude puts together practices for me of
Oh,
what the heck to do with these
That's
6-year-olds.
I
amazing.
love it.
I
That's
know,
That,
really phenomenal. I love that.
right? Like and
Yeah.
that's
it's so
opened up a whole new category of parental participation to you that did not exist
I
prior.
know.
Listen, there's this
Yeah.
story, Amy, I don't remember the details or the guy, but there was this parent who coached a girls' basketball team into the championships. And
Yeah.
he had no background. I don't know if Melek, you know who I'm
I
talking
don't
about.
know. I don't.
It's some guy, he had no coaching background.
As the rules get more intense, the parents, like as they get older, the parents get really intense. So
Yes.
I will not do it again. So, but
Oh yeah.
that's been really helpful. Yeah.
That's awesome. I had never even considered that, but I love that
Ooh,
AI has allowed you to show up in a way to be more, like I said, a participating in a sphere of your kid's life that
yeah.
was not available to you
Hmm.
Yeah.
previously.
Right.
That's
It made it
awesome.
so much less stressful. Like I don't have to be an expert in this. I just have to know the right questions to ask.
That's awesome. Amy, if people want to learn more about you and the work that you're doing, where can they find you?
Yeah, so I'm really active on LinkedIn. So if they, it's just linkedin.com/in and then it's Amy Schultz Money Coach. They can find me there. I'm happy to answer, like I answer questions for people all the time about the most random things I feel like, but my email is just hello@amyschultz.com. And then I'm also pretty active on Instagram, sometimes a little more, spicy on there, definitely than LinkedIn. But I'm just Amy Schultz underscore CLE because I'm in Cleveland, Ohio on
Okay,
Instagram.
great. And we'll link all of those handles in our
Yep.
show notes. Thank you, Amy. This has been such a
Yeah, thank
delightful and
you.
informative
Thank you,
conversation.
Amy.
And we'll look forward to hearing new developments along the way as some of your predictions actually start to show up and take shape in the solutions that are out there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and thank you for doing this work. I feel like this conversations like this are, I'm sure they're very helpful to your audience. So appreciate you both.
Thank you, Amy. We'll see you soon.
And now it's time for Zaghruta. Today's Zaghruta goes out, shout out to Cyber Malik, who is the Chief Investment Officer at Nuveen, which is a TIAA company. Saira is somebody that I started following on LinkedIn and so appreciate her voice. She speaks very candidly about not having a traditional background and being from a non-target school and how those actually informed her and make her really have a unique voice in this investment space and being able to lead a fund that is over $1.3 trillion in assets
Wow.
as of latest numbers. And the thing I appreciate most is how open she is
Yeah,
about being not traditional background and that being a source of real power and differentiation potentially for you. So if you don't have that traditional background and you're looking to do something, Syra is an example. You can do it.
absolutely. Yes.